Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Oh, I'm loving what we're going to talk about today. One of my favorite topics, and it's your intuition. What guides you? That thing inside you, your gut feeling that kind of pilots you along the way. It's there. Many times we don't listen to it because there's other stuff around us that focuses or refocuses our attention. And we're also going to dig into the tools that are available to help you hone in on that intuition. She knows about that full well. She is a Reiki master, teacher, energy healer, practitioner, and she's Purnima Chaudhari. She's our professional of the year. She's back with us. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Beautiful Mount Shasta. Enjoying it.
So where is that? Is that North California, South where?
Yeah, it's not far from Portland, it's Northern California. Yeah, and it's considered as one of the most sacred sites on our planet.
I never knew that. Wow. Did you?
Yeah, and if you're into hiking, this is like the most beautiful spot to, go on hikes and explore different, waterfalls and yeah, it's just beautiful energy here.
Wow.
Beautiful nature.
And not to be negative, but all I'm going to say is everybody that's been hiking, at least in the Northeast where I am, talking about ticks, like worst season ever. So just got to protect against that. I think it was because of the warmer winter in this area. So this thing, intuition, that we talk about, it's your belief that we all have it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Without an exception, and we can refine it with practice because it's just getting to know yourself really well, getting to know your energy really well, and getting to know how you perceive different energies and what they mean for you. So nobody else can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. And so, tuning into the clear senses is the way to receive intuitive guidance from within. And, last time I shared, there are 9 clear senses, and each one of us has them in varying degrees. There are 1 or 2 that are very, very strong. And then as you continue to practice, the other ones come online and, they work in synergy, they work together. So that has been my personal experience. And, having taught hundreds of students all over the world, I've seen how people can really tap into this. This is one of the things that happens with the Reiki training as well, like the attunement process will activate your clear senses. It has happened to many people. So yeah.
Wow. Do you pilot by your intuition, every decision, everything you do?
100%. I never, bypass it. Even if it seems very illogical, like it seems like the most bizarre thing, that the guidance can seem that way. But I know from my intuition and also from past experiences that when I have followed that and when I've listened to that inner guidance, I have always been led in the right direction.
Why is it, Purnima, when we have to make a decision? It could even be a simple decision. What am I going to do today? What should I do this weekend? This or that. And you try to listen to the answer, but part of you's like, I just want to do that. Choice A. Might not be the best choice, but in your mind, you're like, that. No, I just want to do that. But if you listen a little bit more, you might even be hearing, nah, don't do that. Nah, bad. But what is it within us that pushes us in a certain direction? Whether it's right, whether we know it's right, we just go there. And what's driving at that point?
It's our inner pilot light, which is always there. It never really goes away. It's always within us. And that light is shining on our path and it's always guiding us. It's only, when we are tuning inwards, we are able to see that light and follow it. Uh, Otherwise, we are like caught up in the outside world, and if you are listening to um, the authorities, and I'm not saying like about breaking rules or anything, but like being herded around. We've done that for thousands of years, and now it's time to step into our sovereignty. And sovereignty means that you are like a sovereign being, recognizing that, and you have the free will choice to make every single decision, big or small. And nobody else can guide you than your soul, your light within.
Hmm.
So the intuition is coming from there. It's based from that. That's why it's always right. It will never lead you astray. It will never mislead you, because it's what is true for you, for your path, for this life journey that you've embarked on. And it is always going to be in the right direction.
How do you hear it clearer?
You have to, uh, you know, become silent, like remove the chaos around you. And the best way to do it is, I meditate a lot, and I find meditations are my way to receive guidance, and I do Reiki meditations. But like, even sitting out in nature, if you have a beautiful yard, like, not everyone is lucky to be living in a place where, there's nature. You might have a park around, but maybe you have a beautiful yard, or you have a patio with some little planters. Just just surround yourself with nature, and in some way or form, and tune into the life force that is surrounding you in the quantum and is flowing within you. And
Hmm.
when you listen deeply and become quiet and still, in that stillness, you might have heard, be still and know, right? Be still and know. So really, it's only when we become still, we are able to know deeply.
Hmm. I truly believe the biggest challenge is, like you say, getting quiet and getting this all out of the way. All this noise around us, checking your phone, social media, traffic
Mhm.
noises, all of that. Do you feel that our society was better driven 100 years ago? I mean, this stuff about listening to your intuition, meditation goes back thousands of years. But do you
Yeah.
think we were more knowing 100 years ago, 150 years ago, because we didn't have all of this around? It was easier to be quiet, be still with ourselves.
Mhm. I think, yeah, I mean, when I look back at the life that my parents lived or my grandparents lived, they had a very simple life. And, you know, back in those days, like it was so different. Like now we are driven by our devices. We
Yeah.
are just surrounded by devices, and constantly there are these notifications. And so, yeah, I mean, every generation has the plus and minus. Like I feel like what we have today in terms of technology is great. I mean, it's allowing for you and I to sit here and have
Sure.
this virtual chat. So it's beneficial that way. But it's when you don't let it control you, you know. So we have to really be mindful of that, and maybe turn notifications off or do not disturb, and give us these chunks of time that we do not have these distractions constantly around us, and we take
Hmm.
some time, like make it non-negotiable. Every day at least take half hour, or even better, an hour for yourself to sit in silence and do nothing but just sit and listen deeply within, and ask questions and ask for guidance, and you will receive it. Mhm.
I I agree. If you ask, you'll get it. However, you need to hear it when you get it, and many of us don't because of everything else that's going on around us. And it's funny because I think I shared with you I joined a men's group, I don't know, maybe like 14 weeks ago, and we we have commitments every week, and the others hold you accountable to the commitments. And a lot of them are uh, fitness related. Right now with the men in the group, losing weight, getting in shape. And mine certainly are part of my weekly commitments. And one of them is 30 minutes of reflective time daily. And
Mhm.
when I converse with them, sometimes they'll even say, "Hey, did you get your 30 minutes in?" I'm like, I was 15, but I'll get more later, whatever it might be. But just setting the intention to get it done uh, keeps you accountable.
Mhm.
And many of us say, "I don't have time. I don't have time for this." We can always make time for things that are
We can always.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times, I think most phones have this feature where it tells you how many hours you've spent on social media, or, and if we look at it, it is so appalling to see how much time we waste on social media. So if we can spend time that way, I'm sure uh, everyone can take out some time for themselves
Hmm.
daily and make it a daily practice.
Yeah. I'm guilty as charged. Yeah, I use social media technology more for work and a little bit of fun here and there. But there are times where I'll just be on the couch and then I find myself looking at different reels. I'm like, whoa, okay, stop. I don't need to see uh like one they'd serve you watch one, they'll serve up a ton of them, boat fails, people, having issues with boats or
Yeah.
whatever. And sometimes it's kind of funny, but after a while it's like I have to like, hello, what are you doing? Stop that. Stop.
Hmm. Hmm.
Take that time to be reflective, to listen, all of that. Now you mentioned tools to help us be more intuitive. What are some of the tools?
So, sometimes people have a difficult time really receiving guidance clearly. So, for example, someone is sitting in silence and they've asked a question and they've kind of received an answer, but they're doubting if they really received it, right? So, in that case,
Hmm.
I recommend something called oracle cards. Those are amazing. Like, I don't know if you've ever used a deck, but they are these intuitive cards that bring messages from outer sources. By outer sources I mean your guides, your angels, different beings, light beings who are there to support you on your journey. And so, say for example, you received something and you're having a hard time, like, believing it, or even like doubting, like, did I really receive that? And so you shuffle a deck and you ask that, like, whatever I received, what is, give me more clarity on it, or give me the guidance for today. And you'll be shocked what comes through. I've done, this is a daily practice for me. I always get like, and sometimes the cards just fly out of the deck, and then when I lay them, it's like, oh my God, this, you can't make this up, really. So that is
Hmm.
one of the tools that people can use. It's
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing. And I have a story to share. When you're getting things like that, I always say, ask your guides. They're always around you. And these beings, they respect free will. So they won't budge in. They're always showing grace. But for them to actively help you, you have to ask them, because they respect free will. You will always have to give them permission to help you with something. And if you're not, then they're twiddling their thumbs, thinking, when is he or she going to ask me for help, right? So that's my practice. I always ask for help. So I'd gone to this was years ago, when I had thought of buying myself an oracle deck. I
Hmm.
thought, I need one. So I walked into this bookstore, and I thought, I asked the person there at the shop to show me where the metaphysical section is. And she pointed it, and I went there, and I just stood there because there was like this whole wall filled with shelves, like shelves after shelves of these oracle decks. And I was so confused. I was like, which one do I buy? So I closed my eyes and I said, I called my guys and I said, please help me pick the right deck for me right now. And I closed my eyes and I started moving my hand over the shelf like this. And then at one point, I felt something in my palm. So I pulled out that deck and I looked at it. And then my husband was standing 3 feet away, and he was also looking at decks. And he had pulled out a deck, and I showed to him my deck. I said, look what I found. And he showed me the exact same deck from the other. And so my guys told
Wow.
me that that was the deck I needed. So, this is just an example of how we can receive guidance from within us, but also there are beings around us who are trying to help us. So we just tap into their help and receive it. And so, even when you're receiving this guidance through something like an oracle deck, you're also at the same time, calling your highest self. You're setting your ego aside, because remember, the ego will always create doubt and will be skeptical of everything. So, I always make it a practice to say, I set my ego aside, I call in my highest self, I call in my guides to give me clear guidance for today, or clear guidance for the question I have. And then I shuffle the deck. Sometimes the cards fly out. Sometimes I have to pick them randomly. And the guidance I receive is spot on, always.
Hmm.
And, sometimes I do readings for others too, just for fun, or if I'm guided to. But that is a very powerful tool to use. And also, I love using crystals for energy work. Crystals are divine blessings from our Mother Earth. They have been on the earth for billions of years. And now our modern technology uses crystals because humans have recognized how important crystals are in terms of communication, right?
Hmm.
Like all our devices, they use crystal technology. So crystals have been used for millennia, like since the beginning of times when humans realized, uh, and these were like ancient seers and ancient civilizations. They were into this technology, and so crystals hold information, they transmit information, and they bring, like, different crystals do different things, and there are lots of books on it. I'm not going to dive into that, but basically these are tools that can help you bring clarity. Like, for example, selenite can really clear your aura. If you hold a selenite wand and brush your aura with it, is going to clear your mind and your aura, and then you will hear more clearly. So before you, yeah, yeah. So
I
selenite
didn't
is
know
a
that.
cleaning.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that. I know that it can be used to recharge other gemstones or crystals. So
yeah,
you just wave this around to clear your aura?
yeah, yeah. You
Wow.
can wave it. I hold two wands and I just go like this with the two wands, and it cleanses. Also, you can hold in front of each chakra, and you can even go in circles and it will clear the chakras as well. And
Wow.
this one is the seat of our intuition, the third eye. So
Hmm.
using selenite is great. Clear quartz is a great one to, transmit, to amplify, amplify energy. And so I love using, but one point I would mention here, Steve, is that a lot of people are drawn to crystals, because they're so magical, they're, colorful, and just they you can sense the energy. But people bring them home and they don't use them right. They just put them somewhere. So crystals need to be programmed. They cannot do for you what you want them to do unless you've programmed them. So most people will bring them home and start using them, but then they're holding so much energy and they haven't been programmed for you. So you have to, there's a process we do to program a crystal. So for example, if you have a quartz, you bring it, you clear it, and there are techniques that that's part of the Reiki training, because we also teach how to create Reiki grids, and grids amplify the energy even more because there are several crystals working in synergy. But single crystal is, also very powerful. So there's the cleansing step where you cleanse all the previous energies. Then you give gratitude, gratitude to the crystal itself, the gratitude to Mother Earth, people who harvested the crystal, shaped the crystal, sold the crystal, everything. You give gratitude for everything. And then you charge the crystal. And we always prefer charging it with Reiki because these are high, consciousness energies. And so we charge with Reiki. And then the fourth and very important step is to imbue the crystal with your intention. So for example, you have that selenite, you can say that, you can say to that selenite that you would like it to clear your aura, or, whatever it is you want. So that way it will actually work for you. And then the last one, the fifth step, is to seal the crystal. And the sealing part, seals your program in that crystal. Because imagine that's like a microcomputer and you have to program it to function for you, and you only respond only to your energy. So this programming is necessary, but most people are not aware of it. They just bring it in and then, start using it without knowing how to use it. But crystals, when you use them right, oh my God, they work like magic, really. Like I've seen it so many times. And I have helped lots of people with crystal grids as well, and crystal grids can do different things. Like there are grids for wealth, for health, for relationships, you name it. You can create a grid using sacred geometry. And there's so much you can do with crystals. So I
Wow.
love using crystals.
This is this has been an eye-opener because many of us, myself included, aren't aware that you need to program the crystals. And some of us may be wearing them and wondering, I'm not really getting any benefits. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing because it can't really do any harm. But didn't even know that you could just speak your intention to the selenite. I had no idea. I just thought this was a cleansing crystal. So we learn this is what you do. This is just a piece of what you do and the knowledge that you bring from the energy world. Purnima, how do we find you?
You can find me on my website, innerjourneyreiki.com, and also on social media. I'm quite active on Instagram, Purnima _Chaudhari.
Wow. Always love talking with you. You are so, and I mean this, I'm not just saying it, so grounded, and it comes through, and your passion comes through. It's why you're our professional of the year, and why we love talking with you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.